Death. It's the one horizon we all face, and yet the one we avoid speaking about. It's the silence at the edge of every conversation, the shadow behind every joy, and the certainty that shapes every choice we make, whether we acknowledge it or not. For the Stoics, death wasn't something to hide from, it was a teacher. A reminder that life is short, fragile, and therefore infinitely precious. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." For him, death was the great clarifier. It stripped away distraction and forced us to focus on what truly matters. We waste so much energy chasing status, wealth, or recognition, forgetting that time is the one currency we never get back. Epictetus took it further. He told his students, "Death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates." It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. For Epictetus, death wasn't horror, it was neutral. It was our fear of it that created the suffering. Seneca put it sharply, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." For Seneca, death wasn't the enemy, squandering life was. The Stoics practiced Memento Mori, the remembrance of death, not as morbid obsession, but as fuel for life. To them, contemplating death wasn't about despair, it was about urgency. In ancient Rome, generals returning victorious from war would have a servant whisper in their ear during the triumphal parade, "Remember, you are mortal." Even at the height of glory, the reminder of death kept pride in check and anchored them to reality. If today were your last day, how differently would you live? Would you hold on to grudges? Would you scroll mindlessly? Or would you speak, act, and love with everything you've got? But then comes Neville Goddard, with a vision that seems to rewrite the script entirely. For Neville, death was not an ending at all. He taught that consciousness is eternal, that we don't end at the grave, but simply shift into another state of being. In one lecture, Neville declared, "Death is nothing but a change of state. You do not end where you appear to die." Imagine that. Neville often illustrated this with stories. He told of a friend who appeared to die, but in vision continued his journey elsewhere, picking up life in another setting, as if simply moving houses. To Neville, this wasn't metaphor. It was proof that consciousness simply changes its clothing. Instead of fearing death as final, we could embrace it as transformation. In Neville's view, the body falls away. But imagination, the core of who we are, continues its work beyond this world. Death becomes less of a wall and more of a doorway. Not an annihilation, but an unfolding. So we refaced with two powerful perspectives. The Stoics tell us, death gives life urgency. Neville tells us, death is not the end, it's continuation. At first glance, these views seem opposed. One urges us to cherish every breath, because it may be our last. The other reassures us that breath is never truly lost, only reshaped into another form. But maybe, just maybe, the truth lies in holding both. Think about it. If we embrace the Stoic call to live as though time is short, we cut through the noise and live with courage, clarity, and presence. And if we embrace Neville's vision that consciousness cannot be extinguished, we soften the fear of death, face the unknown with wonder instead of dread. But what if we dare to unite these perspectives? What if we take the Stoics' call to live each day as if it is our last and infuse it with the Nevillian, understanding that death is not an end, but a transformation? In this fusion lies a revolution in how we approach life and death. Let me explain. When the Stoics urged living each day as if it were our last, they weren't thinking of death as some far-off future event. They saw it as a possibility that could arrive at any moment, whether through illness, war, or simply the passage of time. This immediacy in their philosophy acts like a spotlight, highlighting what truly matters in our lives. With this perspective, we can't afford distractions. We must direct our energy towards what's important, be it nurturing relationships, pursuing meaningful work, or simply appreciating the beauty around us. Moreover, the Stoics understood that death strips away pretense. It leaves us with stark clarity. When we contemplate our own mortality, we realize the futility of many of the things we stress over. Minor inconveniences pale in the face of life's ultimate horizon. This realization fosters resilience. When challenges arise, we can choose to rise above them, knowing that they're but temporary obstacles, not life's ultimate challenge. But the Stoics didn't dwell on death out of morbid fascination. They contemplated it to better savor life. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations that the awareness of death makes every experience more intense. It allows us to fully embrace the joys, the beauty, and the wonder of existence. When we know that our time is limited, we become more present in each moment. Now enter Neville Goddard's perspective. Invites us to view death not as an ending, but as a transition, a shedding of the physical form to reveal the eternal essence, our consciousness. In Neville's view, death is not something to fear, but a process to understand, to shift in form, not a cessation of being. This perspective liberates us from the fear of death, allowing us to greet it with curiosity rather than terror. It encourages us to focus on the quality of our lives rather than its length. And when we contemplate death as a doorway to the unknown, it becomes a source of wonder rather than despair. By embracing this view, we can live more fully in the present, cherishing each moment without the shadow of fear looming over us. But what happens when we blend these two powerful viewpoints? When we fuse the Stoic call to action with the Nevillian acceptance of death as transformation, we unlock a new way of living. It's a perspective that honors the urgency of life while simultaneously embracing the mystery of death. With this lens, every day becomes precious not merely because it could be our last, but also because it's a step on an eternal journey. Every breath we take is a reminder of the preciousness of existence, and every heartbeat is a testament to the continuity of our consciousness. In this view, death doesn't define our end, but our potential. It's the doorway to the infinite, the gateway to the eternal. If we can internalize this, we gain a compass for navigating life's complexities. We confront challenges with the Stoics' calm resolve, knowing that they're but momentary obstacles. We celebrate joys with a Nevillian sense of wonder, understanding that they're echoes of eternal bliss. And when we face death, whatever form it may take, we do so with serenity, knowing that it's not an end, but a beginning, a transition from one state of being to another. This perspective liberates us from the fear of death, allowing us to embrace life with open arms and an open heart. It enables us to be fully present in each moment, savoring its sweetness and meeting its challenges with equanimity. And when we stand at life's twilight years, we can do so not with fear, but with anticipation, ready to step through the doorway of death into whatever comes next. Today, most of us avoid speaking of death at all. Sanitize it, hide it in hospitals, treat it as taboo. But the Stoics would call this a mistake. And Neville would say it robs us of wonder. Facing death doesn't darken life. It brightens it, because it forces us to live deliberately and assures us that nothing essential is ever lost. So, my friends, how do you see death? Is it the long shadow at the edge of your life, demanding urgency? Or is it the soft glow of a setting sun, promising a new dawn? Perhaps it's both, an urgency to live fully today and the promise of continuation tomorrow. The choice is ours. Whichever way we choose, we have the opportunity to transform our perspective, to turn fear into wonder, anxiety into peace. Death, whatever it holds, is inevitable. But how we approach it, whether with dread or with anticipation, is entirely up to us. May your path be filled with the urgency of the Stoics and the wonder of Neville, where death is not an ending, but a transformation. Not a fear, but a teacher. Not a goodbye, but a see you later. Thank you for watching, my friends. If this perspective resonated, subscribe and share your thoughts below. Your voice makes this conversation rich.